Do you have destiny helpers, individuals that have helped you accomplish certain things in life that perhaps you will not have accomplished on your own? I do have my own destiny helpers, and there are three amazing individuals to whom I credit the existence of the Teens Guide to the Constitution of Kenya. Hi everyone. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Sandra Ochola. I am a lawyer and a two-time author, and I create knowledge for the betterment of society. So straight to sharing. The year was 2014. I was new to Katiba Institute as a program associate, and by virtue of what the organization did then and still does now, our mandate was to go out to the community to help promote an understanding of the new constitution as it was then. And so we spent our days going to court, going to parliament, meeting as many dignitaries as we could, and going out to the communities as well to help people understand what the constitution contained. And so it's during this period of engagement that I had the idea to develop a simplified version of the constitution for young people, because I realized that most of the information that was being put out there and most of the engagements we were having rather excluded young people from the table, excluded young people from those conversations. And so I shared the idea of that simplified version of the constitution with members of my family and some friends, and they gave me a thumbs up. The next challenge was to present this to my superiors at the organization. And remember, these were experts in the field. They'd written so many books already, and they'd published scholarly papers, and they basically knew their art. It took me a couple of days to develop what was a pitch that I wanted to share with them. And as fate will have it, a few days after presenting the idea to them, I first presented it to Waikwe Wanyoike, and he said, "That's good, Sandra. Go ahead with it. Let me know what kind of support you will need." So I went back home, and for the next 3 weeks, I researched. I did as many interviews as I could. I talked to as many people as possible. I put down as much information as I could into something that now I could present to them as the first manuscript of the Teens Guide to the Constitution of Kenya. And they brought it back with positive talk, except that there are so many other things that I needed to change. I think half of that document had some 10 corrections that I needed to make. You need to change this, you need to put more information here, you need to take this out, the grammar here is not reading well and is not sounding well, so this is something that you need to correct. And for me, I took that very positively because, again, as I said, these were experts in the field, and so if they said that there were certain things that I needed to change, then it meant that it was positive criticism. It was something that was meant to make me a better researcher. It was meant to make me a better writer. So after months of back and forth, we finally had a working manuscript. And so now the next stage was, how do we print it out? How do we publish it? And again, my destiny helpers, they came on board, and they helped me get funding from an organization then that was called Akiba Uhaki. And Akiba Uhaki, they were equally really great, and they supported the first printing of the book, they supported the design, they supported the illustrations, making it possible for us to even afford an illustrator for the manuscript. And after a while now, we were able to have a book, and this is what it looked like. This was the first edition of the Teens Guide to the Constitution, and we tried to make it as colorful as possible, half official and half funky, so that it could relate to the younger generations. And I thought it was really great. The content was concrete, the illustrations were done really well, some of which have lasted now to the second edition. Now we had 1,000 copies published. Then now the next question was, how do we take these copies out there? How do we publicize this wonderful material that we've just developed? And Tech 3, my destiny helpers came on board. And this time they helped me organize a launch. And remember, that time I was still starting out in the industry. I didn't have this long list of contacts of judges and magistrates and legislators that I could call on. But then with their assistance, we had the High Commissioner for South Africa coming in as one of the main guests. We had the Court of Appeal judge then, who now became the Chief Justice of Kenya, coming as the chief guest of the event. We had many other dignitaries. We also had elites from, if I could use the word, high-ranking individuals from the civil society space. I called on to my friends, I called on to some of my relatives as well, because I needed to fill that hall. And the best of it all is that we held the event at State House Girls in Nairobi. And this gave me an opportunity to have the first feel, to have the first engagement with young people on the book. And it was really great, you know, signing, autographing books for them. It was nice engaging with them, answering their questions. And that, for me, went ahead to solidify the idea. It is because of the engagement and the indulgence with this project that I have now been able to develop the second edition of the Teens Guide to the Constitution, because without this there would not have been this. And for that I am eternally grateful. And looking back at that period, three things come to mind for me. One is, if you are a young person out there and you have particular ideas that you strongly believe in, that you have a vision for, if you have visions that you'd like to put out there, please don't sit on them. Do not be afraid of criticism, just put them out there, because it is only when you present it to others, it's only when you share it, that that vision you can find people to help you make that vision and that idea a reality. Secondly, if you have been approached with an idea, I think the way you handle that becomes very critical. It makes the difference between an idea that dies before it even sees the light of day and an idea that gets its own life and becomes something that can live beyond you and live beyond the honor of the vision and impact as many people as possible, because that is what the Teens Guide to the Constitution is doing for all of us. And while at it, number three, if you have destiny helpers, individuals who poured themselves into your life, make it a point to give them their flowers while they're still there. Make it a point to live a life of gratitude and to let them know that indeed they made an impact. And I'd like to give flowers to Waikwa Wanyoike, wherever you are. I'd like to give flowers to Yash Gai, Professor Yash Gai, and I'd like to give flowers to Professor Jill Guy. Thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you so much for believing in my idea. Thank you so much for pouring into my vision for a simplified version of the Constitution of Kenya. And if you are out there, you don't have a destiny helper yet, I pray that this month you're going to tick all the boxes that you planned out to tick for yourself, and you're going to find and surround yourself with as many destiny helpers as you can to ensure that your ideas and your visions become a reality. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next video, do have a lovely, lovely day.